Hi, my name is Paul, and I live in St. Cloud, Florida, and I came to see Helen for stress and anxiety. It's kind of interesting because for me, I was really not super open to hypnosis, but my wife went and she had some success with seeing Helen for confidence. And so I was like, well, maybe this can help. And anyway, so my background was, like I grew up in a home where hypnosis wasn't really thought well of, and it was kind of like a devil thing or something like that. So I was like, I don't know about this. Is not, this is good for everybody else, but probably not for me. But to my surprise, it wasn't anything strange or out of the ordinary at all. Like when I came in, I mean, first I talked to Andrew, and Andrew's great. He's, super accommodating. He got everything set up, sent me some paperwork. And I liked the fact that he was like, we want to get some of your story. If you could share with us what you're coming to see Helen for, if you could write all that out, that would be really helpful, because when Helen sits with you, she's going to kind of go through that, or she's going to actually review it before she sits with you so that she knows kind of where to start. And so I wrote all of this information in there. I probably gave him more than they really needed, but Helen thanked me and said, thanks for sharing all those details, because it helps a lot in this process. So we talked a bit, or quite a bit, before the hypnosis session began. So I was completely comfortable, and coming in a bit apprehensive, sort of with this background of all of that, concern. It was really good, and the place where we did it, which is right here, is just super warm and inviting. A great, comfortable chair, and she started the process with me, and I think what really surprised me was there was a moment during the session where I just I had an experience, like a shift, and it surprised me how real, through the visualization that she does through the hypnosis, how I just kind of felt everything just kind of come into alignment. And the interesting thing is, I wanted help with stress and anxiety. I went through like 7 years of traumatic events, losing family members, and just kind of like one thing after another. And so what was really interesting for me was that I wasn't really aware that I felt like I was sort of on the edge of my chair. Like, when's the next phone call going to come that's going to be something bad? And yet I was carrying that around with me. And then when I left, I noticed myself just talking to, strangers, which I never do. I went to Starbucks and I was talking to the people behind the counter, talking to the people that were also getting coffee. And I kind of surprised myself, like, who is this person? And I realized, like, I didn't even know how much of the stress and anxiety I was carrying around, and it really prevented me from connecting with other people. And I think there was just this fear, like a fear of other people or something. And then I just saw that just subside. And then I was like, wow, man, this is the first time in a long time I just feel really, really relaxed. And it was, I have to say, like, the whole experience was really surprising and awesome at the same time. And I definitely, it's when she goes to work on the subconscious mind, sort of like the records that we're not aware of, we don't necessarily I didn't come away thinking, oh my God, I'm such a different person. But it just sort of shows up in the behavior. So I just showed up doing things I don't typically do. And that it was really reassuring, and I realized how powerful the session had ended up being. So if you're thinking about whether or not you want to check out the Helen's hypnotherapy, I definitely recommend it. I have a friend of mine who I recommended it to, and he hasn't driven on highways for years. And we saw each other, and he's like, dude, you're never going to believe this. I'm driving. I drove down to, I think it was Fort Lauderdale, and he's like, I was on 95. I was on the Turnpike, and then he he actually just the other day he grabbed me and he's like, hey, he showed me a picture. He's like, you know what this is? And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, that's the inside of an elevator. I'm like, I didn't even know you didn't want to ride in an elevator. And he was like, oh yeah, I couldn't get on an elevator. And here I am in an elevator. So it's pretty amazing. That's all I can say. And Helen's wonderful. Andrew's, they're just really good-hearted people, and they'll definitely take care of you. You'll feel right at home. They've always made me feel that way.